Language is a complex and fascinating phenomenon that reflects our thoughts, emotions, and culture. It's a crucial tool for understanding ourselves and others, and linguistics offers scientific insights into its nature and representation in the human mind. This interdisciplinary field intersects with psychology, anthropology, sociology, and archaeology, making it a valuable area of study. Within linguistics, phonetics is a crucial component that offers valuable insights into the production and perception of speech sounds. Articulatory phonetics, auditory phonetics, and acoustic phonetics are its three primary subfields, which investigate the physical production of speech sounds, their perception by the listener, and their characteristics, respectively. Understanding the intricacies of human speech production is a vital area of study within linguistics, and it offers valuable insights into the nature of human communication. By learning about the mechanisms of speech production and the role of active and passive articulators, we can appreciate the complexity of language and its richness and diversity. In short, linguistics is a fascinating and valuable field of study, and its practical applications make it a crucial area of research for anyone interested in language, culture, and the human experience. Phonology, the study of language sound patterns, is a fascinating field that reveals how sounds are organized in speech. By examining phonemes, the smallest sound units that form words, we can see how they differentiate meaning between words. Received pronunciation, RP, is a highly respected dialect of English spoken by educated people in London and Southeast England. Assimilation, a phonetic change that occurs when a sound is influenced by a neighboring sound. And elision, the process of losing certain elements in rapid speech, illustrate how speech sounds can change depending on context. By understanding the intricacies of phonology, we can become more effective communicators and gain a deeper appreciation for the beauty of language. Morphology is an essential branch of linguistics that examines the formation and internal structure of words. Morphemes, the smallest units of meaning in a language, play a vital role in understanding how words are constructed and what they signify. Morphemes are classified into two main categories: free and bound. Free morphemes can stand alone and carry meaning independently, whereas bound morphemes must be attached to other elements to convey meaning. Understanding the distinction between content, words, and function, form, words is also crucial for comprehending how morphemes operate within language. Morphemes are distinct from phonemes, which are the smallest units of sound in speech. While a morpheme may consist of one or more phonemes, the two are not the same. Additionally, morphemes may contain a single syllable, multiple syllables, or no syllables at all. For example, some grammatical morphemes, such as the plural s and the past tense d, do not form syllables on their own. Furthermore, a morpheme can appear in different phonetic forms, known as allomorphs, depending on linguistic context. By studying morphology, learners gain a deeper understanding of how words are formed and how meaning is structured in language. This knowledge is valuable for anyone interested in language and communication, including linguists, writers, teachers, and speakers. For those curious about the complexities of language, exploring morphology is an excellent place to begin. Psycholinguistics is a branch of linguistics that integrates principles from both psychology and linguistics. It focuses on the study of how children acquire their first language, how individuals learn foreign languages, and how deviations or abnormalities in linguistic behavior can be explained. By understanding these processes, we can enhance our communication abilities and become more effective communicators. The behaviorist theory proposes that language acquisition occurs through conditioning, stimulus, response, mechanisms, and reinforcement. However, many scholars have challenged this view, arguing that humans possess an innate capacity for language learning. This perspective is supported by the concept of the language acquisition device, LAD, which enables children to acquire language rapidly and systematically. Memory is a complex and intriguing cognitive function that has been studied for centuries. It refers to the ability to store and retrieve learned information, and as individuals gain more experience and knowledge, their memory capacity improves. Developing strong memory and recall skills allows learners to retain and use information more effectively. Memory involves 4 key processes: learning, retention, recall, and recognition. There are 2 main types of memory: short-term memory, STM, and long-term memory, LTM. Short-term memory has a limited capacity and typically retains information for up to 30 seconds. However, focused attention and active engagement with information can enhance retention in short-term memory. In contrast, long-term memory can store information for extended periods, ranging from days to an entire lifetime. It contains linguistic knowledge such as words, sentences, ideas, and concepts, as well as personal experiences. Long-term memory includes different subsystems. Semantic memory stores knowledge about word meanings, their relationships, and the rules governing their use in communication and thought. Episodic memory, on the other hand, retains information about personal experiences, specific events, people, and places encountered throughout one's life. By understanding the principles of psycholinguistics and memory, individuals can improve both their learning and communication skills. Whether acquiring a new language, preparing for an examination, or recalling important information, strengthening cognitive and linguistic abilities can have a significant and lasting impact. Language is a fascinating and complex phenomenon that encompasses many dimensions, including speech communities, dialects, idiolects, sociolects, diglossia, and pidgins. Understanding these aspects of language is essential for effective communication and for building strong relationships across linguistic and cultural boundaries. One important phenomenon is language switching, code switching, which enables fluent speakers of more than one language to express themselves more precisely and to connect more deeply with others in multilingual contexts. Dialects reflect the distinctive linguistic features of a particular geographical area or speech community, reinforcing a shared sense of identity and belonging among their speakers. Idiolects, by contrast, represent the unique language use of individuals. Recognizing individual linguistic differences is crucial for successful communication and mutual understanding. Sociolects are another significant aspect of language, as they reflect the social, cultural, and economic backgrounds of different groups within a society. Diglossia and pidgins emerge when speech communities come into contact and require effective means of communication. These phenomena illustrate how language adapts to social needs and changing environments. Standard language is the variety that holds the highest status within a community or nation. It is typically based on the speech and writing of educated native speakers, taught in schools, described in dictionaries and grammars, and used as the model for teaching non-native speakers. Registers, meanwhile, are language varieties associated with specific situations or contexts of use, and understanding them is vital for communicating appropriately in different settings. By recognizing and embracing the richness and diversity of language, we can communicate more effectively and foster stronger relationships across linguistic and cultural boundaries. Appreciating the unique characteristics of speech communities, dialects, idiolects, sociolects, diglossia, and pidgins enhances our ability to interact meaningfully in an increasingly interconnected world. At its core, language is a complex and dynamic system that serves as the primary means of human communication. Historically, all languages first existed in spoken form and were later represented through writing systems, although writing systems play an important role. Linguistics, the scientific study of language, recognizes spoken language as its primary object of study. Linguistics identifies three fundamental components of language as a system of communication: sound, form, and meaning. Sound refers to the use of speech sounds to convey messages. Although humans can produce an infinite range of sounds, only a limited number are selected and organized to function meaningfully within a language. Form refers to the structural organization and rules governing a language, including its phonology, morphology, and syntax. Meaning involves the relationship between linguistic units, such as words or sounds, and the concepts or objects they represent. Language is a symbolic and arbitrary system, meaning that there is no inherent or logical connection between linguistic signs and what they signify. For example, in English there is no natural reason why the sounds D-O-G represent the animal dog. This arbitrariness is a defining characteristic of human language. Language is also a conventional system, as its users share common rules, structures, and patterns. While individual variation exists, the core features of a language are collectively understood by its speech community. Despite certain universal characteristics shared across languages, each language remains unique, possessing its own phonological, morphological, and syntactic systems. It is important to emphasize that language primarily concerns speech, with writing considered a secondary representation. Language is a learned system that must be acquired through social interaction, and it is also a living phenomenon that constantly evolves. New words and expressions emerge, while others fall out of use in response to social, cultural, and communicative needs. In conclusion, language is a complex, dynamic, and evolving system that underpins human communication. Linguistics recognizes sound, form, and meaning as its core components, while highlighting the symbolic, arbitrary, conventional, and learned nature of language. Understanding spoken language and its continual development is essential for effective communication and linguistic awareness. Human communication extends far beyond the use of words alone. It involves a complete system of nonverbal cues that contribute significantly to meaning and interpersonal connection. Body language, facial expressions, eye contact, posture, and physical distance all play a crucial role in conveying messages and building rapport between speakers. One important area of study in nonverbal communication is kinesics, which examines how bodily movements contribute to meaning. Gestures and body language vary across cultures, adding another layer of complexity to human interaction. In everyday conversation, both speakers and listeners rely on gestures such as nodding, head shaking, hand movements, and facial expressions to support, clarify, or emphasize spoken language. Without nonverbal cues, communication would be flat and less engaging. When used effectively, these cues enhance spoken messages and ensure they are interpreted accurately. Being aware of nonverbal behavior allows individuals to communicate more effectively and establish stronger social connections. Understanding language from multiple perspectives is essential in everyday life. By studying language through different linguistic approaches, we gain insight into how it functions and how it evolves over time. Synchronic linguistics, also known as descriptive linguistics, examines language at a particular point in time without reference to historical development. In contrast, diachronic linguistics focuses on the historical evolution of language and the changes it undergoes over time. When discussing the substance of language, we refer to the physical sounds produced by speech organs. These sounds form linguistic expressions that can be analyzed independently of meaning. For example, the word drink can function as both a noun and a verb, yet its form can be examined without considering its semantic interpretation. Noam Chomsky's distinction between competence and performance offers further insight into language use. Competence refers to a native speaker's internalized knowledge of linguistic rules, while performance is the actual realization of this knowledge in spoken or written language. This distinction highlights the importance of understanding both linguistic knowledge and its practical application in communication. In conclusion, examining language through different theoretical and analytical perspectives deepens our understanding of its complexity. By studying nonverbal communication, linguistic substance, and form, and the relationship between competence and performance, we gain a richer appreciation of how language operates and how it shapes human interaction. Physiologically, stress is a powerful feature of speech that plays a crucial role in conveying meaning. It is essential to understand the different types of stress, particularly word stress and phrasal stress. By placing stress on specific syllables or words, speakers give them greater prominence, allowing them to express emphasis, contrast, or intention. A clear understanding of stress patterns in speech can significantly enhance communication and ensure that messages are conveyed accurately. Polysyllabic words may contain more than one stressed syllable. Primary stress represents the strongest and most prominent release of syllabic energy. Secondary stress is less prominent than primary stress, while tertiary stress is weaker still. Although tertiary stress is difficult to define precisely, it is generally considered weaker than secondary stress and close to unstressed or neutral syllables. Stress placement can shift in derived words, and its position often varies according to grammatical category. In English, stress commonly falls on the first syllable in many nouns and adjectives, while it often appears on the second syllable in related verbs. Awareness of these stress patterns is important, as incorrect stress placement can lead to misunderstanding or change in meaning. Understanding the nuances of stress in speech allows speakers to communicate more effectively and ensures that their intended meanings are clearly understood. The Indo-European family of languages is the largest and most significant language family in the world. It includes most of the modern languages spoken across Europe and large parts of Asia. In earlier linguistic traditions, this family was referred to as the Aryan family. But this term is now considered obsolete and is no longer used in modern linguistics. The Anatolian branch is now extinct and was spoken in parts of Asia Minor, including present-day Turkey and Syria. During the first and second millennia BC, languages in this branch include Hittite and related varieties. The Italic branch developed from Latin and gave rise to the Romance languages. These include French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and Romanian. The Germanic branch includes both ancient and modern languages. Extinct languages such as Gothic and Burgundian belong to this group, as well as living languages such as English, German, Dutch, Flemish, Swedish, Danish, and Norwegian. The Indo-Iranian branch is one of the largest branches of the Indo-European family. It includes Indo-Aryan languages such as Sanskrit, Pali, Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, Marathi, Punjabi, and Gujarati, along with Iranian languages such as Old Persian, Kurdish, Pashto, Baluchi, and Afghan. The Greek branch consists of the Greek language, which has a continuous written history from ancient times to the present day. The Celtic branch includes Goidelic languages such as Irish, Scottish, Gaelic, and Manx, as well as Brittonic languages such as Welsh, Cornish, and Breton. The Balto-Slavic branch includes Baltic languages such as Lithuanian, Latvian, and the extinct Prussian language, along with Slavic languages such as Russian, Polish, Czech, Slovak, and Serbian. The Armenian branch consists solely of the Armenian language, which has developed independently with its own distinctive linguistic features. The Tocharian branch is extinct and was spoken in ancient Central Asia and the region of Turkestan. Knowledge of this branch comes from historical manuscripts discovered in the modern era. The Albanian branch includes the Albanian language, which forms an independent branch within the Indo-European family. The ability to demonstrate genuine language proficiency depends on mastery of the 4 fundamental language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Language itself is composed of 3 essential components: sound, structure, and vocabulary. When learning a foreign language, learners usually face the greatest difficulty with mastering its sound system, followed by understanding its grammatical structure and acquiring adequate vocabulary. True language mastery requires the systematic acquisition of speech sounds, grammatical patterns, and core vocabulary through the integration of the 4 basic language skills. In addition to theoretical knowledge, effective use of language in real-life situations is a vital indicator of true proficiency. The ability to recite grammatical rules may demonstrate knowledge about a language, but genuine mastery involves the ability to use the language fluently and appropriately. Language learning is a skill-based activity, much like painting or dancing, and therefore demands continuous and consistent practice. Regular exposure and repeated use are essential for successful language acquisition. Several important factors contribute to effective language learning. Habit formation plays a central role, as language skills develop through repeated use over time. Learning should begin with speech, since language is fundamentally a spoken phenomenon. A situational approach to language teaching is highly effective, as it presents language in meaningful and realistic contexts. Language material should be selected according to usefulness, simplicity, teachability, and availability. The natural learning sequence should be followed, emphasizing listening and speaking before reading and writing. All 4 language skills must be developed in a balanced manner, and basic sentence patterns should be practiced intensively. Lessons should also be made engaging through the use of audiovisual aids, real objects, pictures, charts, competitions, and a supportive learning environment. Acquiring fluency in a foreign language can be challenging, particularly for young learners. However, certain factors can make the learning process more effective and less demanding. Motivation is one of the most crucial elements in language learning. Children are naturally motivated to acquire their mother tongue because it allows them to express their needs, feelings, and desires. Similarly, encouraging motivation in foreign language learning helps children develop interest and confidence in using the new language. Language learning is important for personal development, social interaction, and academic success. Teaching a second language, such as English, presents several challenges, including limited exposure, reliance on rule-based instruction, and insufficient practice opportunities. Maximum exposure to the target language is essential, just as children are continuously exposed to their mother tongue. Consistent teaching, effective use of classroom time, and the involvement of multiple instructors can enhance learning outcomes. The situational approach plays a vital role in second language teaching by creating meaningful context for language use. Learning is more effective when language is presented in context rather than in isolation. Imitation is more beneficial than memorization of rules, as children naturally acquire their mother tongue by imitating sounds, words, and structures. Teaching a language solely through grammatical rules can hinder natural acquisition, whereas a natural learning approach encourages fluency and confidence. Language learning also contributes to the development of manners, social behavior, and effective communication skills. In summary, effective language learning requires natural exposure, meaningful contexts, continuous practice, motivation, and a learner-centered approach. Teachers and learners alike should be encouraged to adopt these principles to achieve successful and lasting language proficiency. The distinction between language acquisition and language learning is not merely theoretical. It has important practical implications for language learners and teachers. According to the American linguist Stephen Krashen, language acquisition is a subconscious process that results in the internalized knowledge of a language, whereas language learning is a conscious process that leads only to knowledge about the language. From this perspective, traditional teaching methods that focus on isolated grammatical rules and discrete language items may be ineffective for developing communicative ability and long-term retention. Krashen argues that language learning should resemble the way children acquire their mother tongue, through natural exposure and subconscious processes, rather than explicit instruction. This view is supported by the British applied linguist Dick Albright, who emphasizes that language learning is most effective when learners are engaged in meaningful communicative situations in the target language. In addition, Krashen highlights the crucial role of language input in successful acquisition. He proposes that learners can acquire a language independently when they are exposed to comprehensible input that is slightly above their current level of proficiency. This type of input contains both familiar language and new linguistic elements, allowing learners to progress naturally without conscious effort. Therefore, effective language teaching approaches should provide learners with rich, meaningful, and engaging input in communicative contexts. By doing so, learners are more likely to acquire language subconsciously and independently, leading to more successful, fluent, and long-lasting language development. It is fascinating to explore the wide range of reasons why individuals choose to learn a foreign language. Language learning is rarely motivated by a single factor. Rather, it is influenced by a combination of personal, social, academic, and professional considerations. These motivations can be broadly categorized into several groups, including residence in a target language community, English for specific purposes such as English for specific purposes, ESP, English for occupational purposes, EOP, or English for academic purposes, EAP, school curriculum requirements, cultural interest, career advancement, and other personal or miscellaneous factors. Some learners pursue a foreign language because they live in or plan to move to a community where the target language is spoken. For example, a student relocating to an English-speaking country for work, higher education, or long-term residence may be motivated to acquire language skills in order to integrate into the community, communicate effectively in everyday situations, and participate fully in social, educational, and professional life. In such cases, the motivation is often highly practical and urgent, as the learner's immediate environment demands proficiency in the language. Other learners are driven by academic or professional needs. Students studying ESP, EOP, or EAP may require language proficiency tailored to specific domains such as science, technology, medicine, law, or business. For instance, a medical student may need to understand specialized terminology and communicate with international colleagues, while an engineer might require English to read technical manuals, collaborate with foreign teams, or attend international conferences. In these contexts, motivation is strongly linked to practical outcomes and professional competence. School curriculum requirements represent another important motivating factor. In many countries, learning English or another foreign language is mandatory for students, and formal instruction provides structured exposure to language rules, vocabulary, and basic communicative skills. While some students may initially approach language learning simply to fulfill academic obligations, exposure through the curriculum often fosters curiosity and gradually strengthens intrinsic motivation, particularly when instruction is interactive and context-based. Cultural interest is also a significant driver of language learning. Many learners are attracted to the culture, history, literature, music, and media of the target language community. For example, a student may wish to learn French to appreciate classic literature in its original form, or study Japanese to engage with anime, manga, and traditional Japanese arts. Cultural fascination provides both intellectual stimulation and emotional engagement, which can enhance long-term commitment to language learning. Career advancement is another powerful motivator. Proficiency in a foreign language is increasingly viewed as an essential skill in a globalized job market. Individuals who are fluent in widely spoken languages such as English, Spanish, or Mandarin often have access to greater employment opportunities, higher salaries, international assignments, and professional recognition. In this context, motivation is instrumental and goal-oriented, as language skills are directly linked to tangible benefits and career progression. Finally, some learners are motivated by personal interest or enjoyment. This may include a love of languages, admiration for a particular teacher, or a positive experience with a language learning program or institution. In such cases, motivation is intrinsically driven, arising from curiosity, self-expression, and the satisfaction of mastering a new skill. Even though this type of motivation may appear less urgent than practical or professional reasons, it can be equally powerful, particularly when it sustains consistent practice over time. Functions in language. In many professional and social contexts, language serves specific purposes beyond mere grammatical correctness. For instance, an air traffic controller or a waiter uses specialized vocabulary and expressions tailored to their work environment. The type of language emphasizes doing, actions performed through communication, rather than just describing or labeling concepts. Examples include inviting someone, apologizing, requesting, giving instructions, or expressing disagreement. This functional use of language is referred to as language functions. The key goal in teaching functions is to enable students not only to understand language theoretically, but also to perform these actions effectively in real-life situations. By focusing on functions, learners develop practical communicative competence that allows them to respond appropriately in various social and professional contexts. Behaviorism in language learning. Behaviorism is a psychological theory that emphasizes the study of observable behavior rather than thoughts or feelings. One of its central tenets is that both human and animal behaviors can be shaped through conditioning, using the principles of stimulus, response, and reinforcement. In this view, psychological disorders and maladaptive behaviors can be addressed by systematically altering behavior patterns. Behaviorism has also been applied to language learning. The American psychologist B.F. Skinner proposed that language acquisition in children follows the same model of stimulus-response reinforcement. According to this perspective, children learn language by imitating sounds and structures, receiving positive reinforcement when they produce correct forms. This theory influenced the development of the audiolingual method of language teaching, particularly in English instruction. The audiolingual method emphasizes repetitive drilling of sentence structures and patterns to instill correct habits, mirroring the principles of behaviorist conditioning. While effective in reinforcing structural accuracy, critics argue that this approach may limit creativity and deeper understanding of language as a system. Cognitivism in language learning. In contrast to behaviorism, cognitivist approaches focus on the mental processes underlying language acquisition. Cognitivism recognizes that language is not merely a set of learned behaviors, but an intricate, rule-based system. Language learning, therefore, involves understanding patterns, rules, and the logical relationships between linguistic elements. One cognitivist perspective emphasizes the distinction between competence, a speaker's knowledge of language rules, and performance, the actual use of that knowledge in communication. Based on this theory, effective language teaching should allow students to think, analyze, and create their own sentences rather than relying solely on repetition and drills. This approach encourages learners to internalize rules and apply them flexibly in different contexts, fostering both creativity and communicative competence. Cognitivist methods stand in opposition to the purely behaviorist audiolingual approach. While drilling may help with memorization and accuracy, true mastery of a language requires understanding its structure and being able to generate novel sentences independently. By integrating cognitivist principles, language teaching can move beyond mechanical repetition to cultivate deeper comprehension, problem solving, and practical use of language. Language input and output. In language teaching, classroom activities can be broadly categorized into two main types: those that provide language input and those that encourage students to produce language output. Language input refers to the exposure students receive to new grammar, vocabulary, expressions, and other forms of language. This input is essential for building comprehension and expanding students' linguistic knowledge. Output, in contrast, involves the actual use of language by students, allowing them to practice and internalize what they have learned. Output activities can be further divided into practice and communication. Practice activities focus on rehearsing and reinforcing specific language items, helping students consolidate their knowledge. Communication activities, on the other hand, emphasize using language in realistic or meaningful situations, encouraging students to express themselves, interact with others, and apply their language skills practically. Regarding language input, there are two main types: roughly tuned and finely tuned. Roughly tuned input consists of language slightly above the student's current level of understanding, which helps them acquire new structures and vocabulary in a natural manner. Finely tuned input is carefully selected to teach particular language items, such as specific tenses, sentence structures, or functional expressions, like invitations, requests, or apologies. Both types of input are essential for balanced language development, providing opportunities for comprehension and gradual acquisition. Class management and the role of the teacher. The teacher plays a central role in effective class management, ensuring that both teaching and learning processes run smoothly. A teacher fulfills multiple roles in the classroom, including controller, assessor, organizer, prompter, participant, and resource. As a controller, the teacher maintains order and directs the flow of activities. This includes deciding when students should speak or practice the language, especially during the introduction of new material. At the same time, the teacher must allow students to use the language independently at appropriate times. As an assessor, the teacher evaluates students' performance and provides constructive feedback. Gentle correction is important to avoid discouraging learners, while feedback helps students understand mistakes and track progress. As an organizer, the teacher ensures that activities are clearly introduced, instructions are understandable, and time is managed effectively. This role includes monitoring tasks and guiding students to ensure they are completing activities correctly. As a prompter, the teacher encourages participation and offers suggestions when students are hesitant or unsure. Teachers can also participate in classroom activities to model language use, fostering a positive and interactive learning environment. Finally, as a resource, the teacher provides support when needed, but also knows when to step back. During authentic communicative activities, the teacher should act as a non-interventionist, allowing students to experiment with language independently while being available to assist when necessary. Student groupings in language teaching classroom, grouping strategies significantly impact language learning outcomes. Lockstep grouping involves all students working at the same pace under teacher guidance. While it provides a clear language model and a comfortable environment, it can limit individual practice and may not suit all learners' abilities. Pair work and group work offer greater opportunities for interaction and cooperative learning, but may sometimes cause noise and discipline issues. Individual study allows students to focus on personal tasks such as reading and writing, promoting self-paced learning and reflection. Discipline in the classroom. Effective classroom discipline requires a clear code of conduct that guides the behavior of both teachers and students. Teachers play a critical role in maintaining discipline through preparation, fairness, consistency, and positive engagement. Key strategies include avoiding empty threats, maintaining a calm demeanor, delivering engaging lessons, treating students respectfully, and enforcing rules consistently. Discipline problems can arise from the teacher, students, or institution. Students may exhibit disruptive behavior, forget assignments, or arrive late. Institutions may fail to provide adequate resources or support. Teachers can minimize discipline problems by establishing clear expectations from the first day of class, setting the tone for classroom culture, and adapting lessons to students' needs. Audiolingualism. The audiolingual approach emerged in the United States during World War II to quickly train personnel in foreign languages. Popular in the 1960s, it declined after Chomsky criticized its behaviorist foundations. Language learning, according to this approach, is habit formation through stimulus, response, and reinforcement. In the classroom, this leads to pattern drills and dialogues that focus on accuracy and fluency. Spoken language is taught before written language, and repetition is central to internalizing structures. Computer-assisted language learning, CALL. Computers in language teaching initially served as advanced typewriters and provided basic grammar exercises with feedback. With the rise of CDs, email, and the internet, learners gained access to interactive exercises, online research, presentations, and discussions. Cole allows students to practice grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and communication in engaging ways, making learning more dynamic and accessible. Suggestopedia, developed by Georgi Lozanov in the 1970s, Suggestopedia uses positive suggestion to make learners more receptive. Lesson combine relaxed but focused states, classical music, and extended dialogues read aloud by the teacher. While it aims to stimulate learning and improve memorization, critics note its practical challenges, such as long dialogues, reliance on classical music, and elaborate classroom setups. Presentation. Effective presentation in language teaching involves organizing information logically, using short and clear sentences, familiar vocabulary, active voice, and focusing on the most important points first. This helps learners understand and retain language more easily. Production activities give students opportunities to actively use language. Personalization tasks like role plays, interviews, and information gap exercises promote natural communication. Interactive games, problem-solving tasks, and picture cues make learning engaging. Teachers monitor performance, note errors, and provide feedback to improve accuracy while maintaining fluency.